Thank you, Lachlan. And Harriet, would you mind sharing the slides? Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, everyone, let's get started. I'm going to take this opportunity, I guess, to do some reflections on the last 2.5 days. I'm going to share some early feedback with you, which I think is always nice to kind of see how people have engaged in this experience. And then I'm going to also take the opportunity to formally thank the amazing number of people that have made this possible. So my name is Koshila Kumar. I'm the Subdean Academic Development within the Division of Learning and Teaching, and I'm the Director of the Charleston Teaching Academy. It's been a fantastic event and a fantastic opportunity through this experience to get to know so many of my colleagues at Charleston and to really understand the diversity of their practices. But let me start by acknowledging country. I pay my respects to First Nations elders, past, present, and emerging, across the many lands where Charles Sturt University campuses, students, and staff are located. In particular, I acknowledge the Wiradjuri, Ngunnawal, Gundangara, and Biripi people, and I also pay my respects to any First Nations colleagues who've been at our conference and who are in this session today. I'm joining you from Biripi country here in Port Macquarie, and I pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging on this land. So let's move into what we've seen and heard over the last couple of days. It's been a bit of a whirlwind, but I think a really fabulous kind of engagement and a diversity of things that we've seen and heard. We started the day with day one with our Vice Chancellor, Professor Renee Leon, delivering the opening address, and it was really wonderful to have her there and acknowledge our people, but also acknowledge the Teaching Academy and kind of as the driving force behind CSEdX and what we're trying to do in this learning and teaching space. And I actually saw this afternoon a message that had come out from her where she once again acknowledged the Teaching Academy and what we've been able to do to bring you together, to bring this community together. So it's very heartening that she was there and that she took the time to be with us. And I'm sure you'll agree that that was fantastic to hear from her. And then we went straight into provocations. We had our fantastic panel. We had Professor Paul Harpur, who brought that disability lens. We had Professor Sarah O'Shea, who brought that higher education equity lens, Alec Webb, very much bringing that regional education lens, and Professor Maria Rossetti, who brought that really beautiful First Nations lens to engage in some reflections around our conference theme. So the provocation that we presented to them was, what does radical reimagination look like from your perspective? Why is it important? And what is the role of regional universities? And I'm sure you'll all agree that they each brought something unique to that conversation. And I know from the comments that I saw in the chat and the questions that were asked, you know, it was a fantastic way to kickstart the conference. We then followed up day one with 19 oral presentations and roundtables, which again showcase the diversity of our teaching practices and practitioners across the university footprint. I went to a number of those sessions and I really got a lot of insights from each of the sessions I went to. I was making lots of notes about not just implications for us in learning and teaching, but also what does this mean for the Teaching Academy? What are the ways that we can, the spaces that we can create to showcase our people and the work that they're doing and their kind of scholarly approach to this work. So there were a lot of takeaways for me. And I think for me also, I got to know through this experience the diversity of what our colleagues are doing. So I found out a little bit more about what my colleagues are doing and really got to appreciate their practice in a much more nuanced way. You can see the session attendances numbers there. We had great engagement across the day. So it was fantastic that to see all of you turn up and be present for this event. And then we rounded out the day with an awards and acknowledgement session. And I actually counted the numbers. There was approximately 250 staff acknowledged on that slide deck for that session. And I just thought, wow, this just showcases once again the breadth of our community, the diversity of our community, and their achievements and their contributions. So 88 staff, I think, were listed as receiving awards, grants, and fellowships. And listen to this, nearly 162 staff were acknowledged for their contributions as reviewers and mentors and facilitators. So once again, I think I keep saying, it takes a village, but it also takes a village that is very generous and caring. And I think we would all agree that that care factor has shone brightly through this conference, and people are just I think celebrating the fact that, we see so many people who are really demonstrating that ethos of care for their colleagues, but also for their students. So that was a fantastic day one, and we put a little slideshow here for you so that you can kind of see the range of things that were on offer. But if we move to day two, Harriet, I will just recap. And day two was only today. So this morning we started off with the blast with a presentation, a masterclass presentation from Greg Higgins, who's the director of our Digital Learning and Teaching Precinct, who presented on the applications of Gen AI in clinical training for nursing and pharmacology. But again, what he talked about is applicable across the disciplines. There was such great engagement in the session. There were so many questions, and people were sharing their reflections and thoughts in the chat, and the chat sort of went crazy. And I would encourage you as this community to continue these critical conversations post-conference. So go back to your teaching teams, back to your course teams, in your disciplines, in your schools, and keep these conversations going, because we're all learning in this space. And I think one of the things that we want to do is to learn with and from each other as well, and to really understand what does high quality learning and teaching in the age of Gen AI look like. And so we hope to create many more opportunities next year as well to showcase practices around this specific theme of Gen AI in learning and teaching. So that was a fabulous start to the day. And then we followed up with 22 incredible presentations, once again, that highlighted not just the practices, but the people behind the work, the people of the Charles Sturt community who are doing amazing things in learning and teaching and supporting their students to be set up for success. So again, I went to a couple of sessions and found those very energizing. It was wonderful. Now, even though I'm delivering the closing address, we are continuing the program in a sense, because we will have three amazing workshops coming up at 1:30, I think. And these are delivered by colleagues across our university portfolio. And I just want to acknowledge them and thank them for their contributions. And I believe the numbers for those have risen today. So, they've been well subscribed to. And once again, thank you for your engagement in those workshops. So what did you think about CSEdX so far? We have been looking at the data, so I have been encouraging you to give us your feedback, and I think when we looked this morning, there has been a lot of data coming in already, so we've been looking at this in the background, and from all accounts, you seem to have found the conference to be a fantastic experience so far. So I've just pulled out some of the data there. Harriet's put that on there. You've found the discussions incredibly important. You've found the themes important in kind of really doing that stretch thinking, and just to have that immersion in 2 half days that are purely focused on scholarly activity in learning and teaching. So you're telling us that you've found the conference useful for supporting your professional development and really helping you understand the breadth of learning and teaching practices and practitioners across our university. And I would emphasize what we're understanding and what we're reminded of again is how caring and how creatively our people are working, how collaboratively they're working together to ensure that our students, our regional students, our equity groups are set up for success in their own learning journeys. And the feedback is also telling us that you found maybe small or large ways in which you can take what you've seen and heard and actually think about how you apply that to your own practice. And that's really good because here we are barely, at the close of the second half day and people are already reflecting on how they can take what they've seen and heard and potentially kind of extend on that. And I would encourage you to please continue those conversations after the conference and reach out to the colleagues you've seen present. If you reach out to them, strike up a connection, have a virtual catch up, have a coffee chat and build your network and build your tribe. Because again, it takes a village and we need to kind of consciously and intentionally cultivate those networks. So if there's one thing that I would encourage you to do post-conference is to reach out to one colleague that you may have seen present whose work really captured you and to kind of connect with that person and maybe make a time to have a chat about their work and see whether you can either collaborate or learn with and from each other. So, we welcome your feedback. It's giving us lots of opportunities to reflect on what's worked, areas for improvement, because we want to keep improving this experience for you. We want to make sure that the value proposition of CSEdX is clear to you and that you continue to engage with the conference. So again, if you haven't had the opportunity yet, please take just 5 minutes at the end of this session to complete the feedback form and tell us what you think. And this will feed into our planning for CSEdX 2025. All right, so let's move into very quickly the acknowledgements session. And again, I've been going crazy with my hashtags, as you would have probably noticed this conference. And so I come back to the idea that it takes a village to make an experience like this. And I want to acknowledge and appreciate the people who have obviously come together to make this possible. So first, I want to thank our conference organizing team, our scientific panel, our army of reviewers. I can't remember the numbers, but I think there were 37 of them, I wrote that down, who contributed to curating the scientific program. We had our teaching academy leads, we had our scientific panel, and everyone came together to kind of curate the program and organize the program. And that's what you've experienced over the last 2.5 days. So if you, so I really want to appreciate them and thank them for all that hard work that's gone in behind the scenes to put this show on the road. I really want to thank our presenters, and this includes our keynote panel, our masterclass presenter, Greg Higgins, our workshop presenters this afternoon, because they have generously shared their time and expertise with us, the Charles Sturt University Learning and Teaching community. And not just sharing expertise, but also sharing opportunities for further learning and also inspiration. So thank you to everyone who's contributed and who's presented and the amazing teams. I think I was in a session earlier today and each one had a long list of people who are part of that team. So it's really showcased the power of teamwork and reciprocity. So thank you to everyone who's contributed. I want to make a special mention to our session facilitators and technical facilitators for just making sure that the program has run smoothly. You've all really supported, I think, myself and others to make sure that, the presentations and all the technical issues have been, we've been able to make sure that the program runs smoothly. And I think that's really important. And especially the session facilitators have been so good at kind of getting the conversation going. And that's important, right? Like, we want to hear people speak, but we also want to have that opportunity to talk to each other and ask more questions. And I noticed that in every single session I went to, there was such great engagement, lots of questions in the chat, and then an open discussion. So it's been fabulous. And then to you, our learning and teaching community, there's 37 of you here, so not as many numbers as we saw on day one, but you've come here, you've attended, you've participated, you've contributed, you've asked questions, you've shared your reflections, you've appreciated your colleagues. This is only possible because of you. So thank you so much for coming here and for being willing to learn with and from each other. I think that's really important, that we cultivate that culture as we look ahead to 2025. And I think that's what's special about Charleston. And I think that's what within the Teaching Academy, I want to try and create a space for us to connect as a community, to connect as a collegial and caring community. And I hope that once again, we continue to do that. I hope you feel that, and I hope you continue to engage with us. But also, as we go into 2025, we will be reaching out to you and understanding different ways in which we can create spaces and opportunities for you to connect. So my final slide, if you wouldn't mind, Harriet, going to the next slide, is to invite you, if you haven't already joined the CSEdX or the Charleston University Teaching Academy online community. We've got a Teams channel, I think, that has at the moment about 300, just over 330 people in it. So that's our online community. If you aren't part of this community, please join us because, it's a place where you can ask questions, where we share information from the Teaching Academy. We talk about things that are upcoming events, external opportunities, external professional learning events, and so forth. It's a vibrant community, and we encourage you to join us in there and be part of this community. So on that note, everyone, I think have said it all. It's been a fantastic experience. Thank you for being part of this reimagination and rethinking about what learning, teaching, and student engagement looks like for us as a regional education provider. Thank you for coming along and sharing your practice and inspiring each other. And may you continue these important conversations beyond CSEdX 2024, but we look forward to connecting with you again, in 2025 at this stage with our professional development sessions that we will start rolling out next year. And so connect with us, engage with us, and we will, keep learning together. So thank you, everyone. It's been fabulous seeing you here, hosting this event. And thanks to the team behind the scenes who have just brought us together in a magnificent way. So I'll leave it at that, and thank you for being part of this session. And don't forget the workshops.